Introduction to Human Rights. Hi students, welcome to Human Rights Education video lecture series. I hope you are all well and safe inside your homes. For this video discussion, prepare the following: a notebook or a notepad and pens to help you write down notes and important details from the discussion. Avoid multitasking like going over your social media. Just focus on this video lecture. And lastly, a listening ear for the whole duration of the discussion. Class rules and objectives. Focus on this discussion so that you will be able to grasp important details about this topic. Make sure that you are prepared to sit and finish the discussion and is not interrupted in whatever way. This topic is all about the preliminaries about human rights education. Our lesson for today is all about the introduction to human rights education. This is a new subject for all BS Criminology students and an important subject as this will be included in the licensure exam in the future. When we talk about human rights, the very thing that comes to mind are the violations against it. Why is that so? Generally speaking, our human rights in all its broad sense is the most violated right there is. Human rights are those basic rights and freedoms that belong to every person in the world, from birth until the time of a person's death. Human rights apply to everyone: rich, poor, man, woman, children, old, and young. In short, we must always think of human rights as those rights that are inclusive. It does not even qualify race, nationality, and even ethnicity. Everyone has the right to be afforded or given the basic rights of life, liberty, security of property, and all other human rights stated in numerous statutes, especially those enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights or UDHR. Speaking of the UDHR, this was adopted by the United Nations in response to the massive violations against basic human rights brought about by the World War II, where people experienced great loss, not just on things, but importantly, their lives. In the Philippines, our human rights are protected in the crafting of the 1987 Philippine Constitution when it included an article Bill of Rights. The Article 3 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution comprises of 22 sections, making sure no right basic to humans is left undefined. According to the Bill of Rights, there are three classes of human rights. First are those what we call natural rights. These are those rights inherently possessed by every person since it is already part of them the day they are born. For example, the right to be free, the right to own a property, and of course, the right to love. These rights already existed even before governments. The second classification of right, according to De Leon and De Leon, are those that we call constitutional rights. These are those rights conferred or given and protected by the Philippine Constitution. These are the rights that cannot be modified or taken away by the law-making body as they form part of the fundamental law of the land. An example of this is our rights to vote. Lastly, statutory rights. These are those rights provided and promulgated by the lawmaking body, and these rights can be modified or even taken away. An example of this right is the right to adopt a child. Aside from the Constitution, another champion for protecting and ensuring our human rights will not be violated is the Commission on Human Rights. Just like the drafting of the UDHR, the creation of the Philippine Commission on Human Rights was the government's response to the clamors of the majority with regards to the flagrant and numerous human rights violations during the dictatorship reign of the former President Ferdinand Marcos. The purpose of creating the CHR is to put high value and primacy on human rights. Section 18 of Article 13 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution enumerates the powers and functions of the Commission and shall be discussed in a different video. So to sum up this video, these are the things we learned so far. Human rights are the basic rights given to a person, regardless of gender, age, race, ethnicity, and political views, from birth until death. The UDHR is the basis of the human rights laws followed by states who are members to the United Nations. The Philippines has its own Bill of Rights enshrined in its constitution. The Commission on Human Rights is an independent body of the government that investigates cases involving human rights violations in the Philippines. That's all for this video. Thank you and stay safe.